Alright, welcome back everybody to the thing they call Hector's hard mode, Fire Emblem 7. I did not originally want to do this, and when I was playing through Hector's mode, I kept talking about Hector's hard. So I figured it's time to put up or shut up since it's right in my, wheelhouse time, so that is what we're doing. We're doing a Hector's hard mode, as I mentioned in Lynn's summary campaign, which is yesterday's episode. I am using the tools that were given to me to my fullest without going too nuts on them either. Basically, I took characters like Matthew, Urk, pretty much anybody who's not named Lucius. And I guess a couple others I didn't level up to 10. Like, if we run into Wallace again, you won't see Wallace at 10. He'll be, promoted level 1 or something, I don't know. I didn't promote him because I wasn't going to use him for the most part. But I've got Kent Sane, Will, Florina. I got a lot of people at 10, which should help me out quite a bit. I know I kind of sandbagged the end of that Lynn campaign. It's not hard to get Kent and Sane up to 10 as well as Lynn. But in order to get, say to get all your guys up to 10, it's a slog. It's not worth your time, really. But when you're playing Hector's hard mode, I don't know if enough time can be wasted in Lynn's mode. In terms of, how easy do you want Hector's hard mode to be? Do you want it to be super hard? Well, then skip Lynn's campaign completely. Lynn and them all start around levels 2 to 4. Or is it 2 to 4 or is it 2 to 6? Well, there's 4 of them, and I believe, like they said, they start somewhere in that ballpark, which isn't even close to what they would start at if you just casually played Lynn's mode. Unless you totally decide you're not going to use Lynn, or you're not going to use somebody, they're not going to get to 10. They'll get like 8, get around to 8. The mages will take longer to level up, so they're probably only at 2 or 3. Obviously, you're not, without a little bit of foreknowledge, you're not going to get Nils up to 7 to unlock the special chapter that's in Hector's mode. So, but that is what it is. We are going to be trying to eat all of the experience. As you can see, this thief's basically programmed to open up all the doors. So when he goes to open up either, not this door, but the next door, I'm going to steal his lockpick off of him. And if he wants to try to kill Matthew, he can, because Matthew's at 10. So I don't have to worry about pulling Hector back to defend Matthew, which I kind of didn't do. So, okay, I'll rewind a little bit. I played Hector's hard mode with sort of I did a casual Lynn's campaign that I was just going to skip over. And I started playing Hector's hard mode and realized that because my Matthew was only at like level 3 or 4, he was struggling to keep up. Meanwhile, I'm trying to keep Hector alive, which basically revolves around me doing what I'm doing right now, which is getting the vulnerary, and then killing the guys, and then using another vulnerary. And with Matthew not able to dodge Thief at all, it makes it very difficult to do what I want to do, which is basically steal his lockpick, because his lockpick equals money, and to take the red ruby, because that equals money for me, that I can turn into weapons and such. So I think initially here we're gonna get the first 2 episodes. I'm going to just refer to them as either by their episode number or by the count going forward. So Hector's first 2 missions, which I believe is 11 and 12, we will just be, we'll just include in this first recording because it shouldn't take me that long to get through. However, I'm thinking that probably going forward, each level is going to be its own episode because it's likely going to take me somewhere in the ballpark of about 20 minutes, maybe 30 minutes in some instances to get through certain levels. The defend missions are obviously short because there's only so many turns, so as long as I'm not piddling around, picking my nose, trying to figure out who needs to go in and who needs to stay out, I think we'll be okay. And then hopefully we can get our guys up to a decent level where we can just sort of move into cruising speed. So as I pull new characters into the party, I'm able to hopefully get them up to speed relatively quickly. As I spoke before, my plan is to not use any characters I previously used, which really works well for Hector's hard mode because pre-promoted units are super good because they come in, they're pre-promoted. You don't have to spend time leveling them up. They are weaker than their trained counterparts, but not so much so that you feel like you're really missing out on them, you know? So that is the plan. We will see if we can stick to the plan, because that means no white mage users, that means no Canis, that means no not using Raven. I mean, it's like and then I get to use, here's what I get to use. I get to use a Guy the Swordmaster. Okay, he's okay, he's not great. Mainly because they dumbed down the critical on this end. So it makes both the game easier for you, and it makes it more difficult for sword users, or particularly Myrmidons, that rely on a 3 times damage critical. So, anywho. And as I may or may not have mentioned already in the last episode, we're going to be skipping cutscenes, we're going to be skipping dialogue, we're just going to be mashing through or pressing the start button to get through everything as quickly as possible. When possible, I will try to get or steal important items off of people. However, that is right now is sort of a secondary concern to me. So long as I can continue to progress and make progress and not have to really worry about money, I think we'll be okay. We're going to be relying very heavily on iron weapons because they are the cheapest. Also, one of the things I noticed from playing Hector's mode is there's a lot of if you play the normal modes and you rely heavily on your characters to double, they will do the opposite of that. They will basically double when you don't want them to double, and they will not double when they'll usually not double, that's first what I should say. But if you're expecting them or you want them to double, like I said, it's not going to happen. And when you don't want them, it's like, oh man, here comes that. Oh man, my sword or my axe users. Oh, they're only hitting one time. That's such a bummer. Uh-oh, here comes like 14 guys to throw themselves like waves against the beach, and they just like 3 damage, 3 damage, 3 damage, and then it's like, oh man, they finally surrounded him, and it's like, nah, he doubled on that one, and you're like, how does he double there? I don't know. I don't understand. Why did you double there? He says, because I really wanted to die. I really don't want you to play this game anymore. But I'll try to keep my bitching and saltiness to a minimum. Best I can. Because I don't really know what's going to happen. And depending on how quickly I'm able to get my characters into to their promotes will probably depend on how well I do. And I do not care about ranking this time. This is the first time I'm playing through Hector's hard mode. I don't care if I get a bunch of 1 stars as my rankings, where it's like, you did very poorly on saving money. and giving experience and completing the game fast enough, and your guys all died. Well, I'm not gonna let any guys die, but aside from that, that may be my only, you know, whatever, 4 or 5 star point. You did a poor job of managing your money. Oh darn. You took too many turns. Oh darn. What am I to do? I beat Hector's heart for the first time. I'm also not sure how that calculates it. So, for instance, say you're on a big map and there are multiple reinforcements, okay? You don't wait for all the reinforcements to come in, and you take a base early, like say 3 or 5 turns earlier than the last reinforcement comes out. Does that affect your experience level, or do you... I mean, it definitely helps out your speed. That goes without saying, but does that affect your, like, does it look and go, well, there were 4 more waves of reinforcements. We're gonna have to dock you a star on your experience because you did it too fast? Or does it not care? Or is it based on, well, you know, you defeated 100 enemies, but you only gained 100 experience points out of it. That's a very bad use of experience versus, say, using under-leveled guys that are gonna get like 50 or 60 or 100 experience points every time they kill someone. Some other things I may have not mentioned in previous playthrough. We will not be using any snipers / bow users, with the exception of maybe Louise, because they do plan to use Pen, so I'll probably use Louise since they go together like peanut butter and bananas, I guess. And yeah. Alright, so in Christopher news, hi, it's me, Chris. I've decided that I was going to give up the thing that is the hardest thing that any man can give up for Lent, and I don't know if I'm gonna make it, because I'm about halfway, I'm not even halfway through Lent yet. I've got like another, if you include Holy Week, which I do, I got like another 27 or so days to go, and I'm not sure I'm gonna make it. I was doing okay, and then I found out, like, hey, Chris, because I've been starting to get slowly worried about my health, you know, like, hey, maybe you should exercise more. Well, I didn't know, but, or I guess I should have assumed, but apparently exercising, particularly if you're doing, you know, whatever they call that, high interval, there's some abbreviation for it, where you're doing a lot of work for a very short period of time, and then you don't necessarily do any more work, but you go about your normal, mundane, non-caveman life, you know, and whatever muscles you strain in the morning will get to heal throughout the day, but you also kind of feel like they're strained a little bit, so it'll give you a chance to build some muscle and, you know, get a little healthy, but it also increases the old testosterone, which not great, because I want to eat a big steak, and yeah, I want to do the caveman thing right now, and I kind of gave that up for Lent. Oh yeah, you need to know that. I'm sure we all needed to know that, Chris. Thanks for letting us know. That's wonderful. I'm just saying, like, here's an alternative example for you. March Madness right now, and as of this recording, which is Monday the 24th, there are, I believe, still a couple perfect NCAA brackets. Now, the longest known record for a continuous bracket to succeed is, I believe, 46 teams in a row, which would mean you had to get everybody in the first and second round 100% correct. Okay? This is what makes the bracketology stuff so dangerous. Is if you have a team, pick any team you want. You want to pick a blue blood like Kentucky or North Carolina or Duke, and you look at them and you say, oh, they had a really good season this year. They look like a really strong team. They're going to push to the Final Four. It's a one and done situation. So at any point, a team could upset your team, whatever team you think is going to win the finals. And then it, of course, affects the rest of your bracket because you don't get to re-bracket or reseed your bracket when one of your, like after the first two rounds, you don't get to look at the bracket and go, okay, well, now I'm going to seed the next two rounds. No, you seed everybody all the way through the finals before the first game on Thursday happened. And so I believe the record, at least on record, we're talking ESPN officially, I can verify this. I think the record is something like 42 or 46 consecutive games in a row with like I said would be all of the first and second round, and then a number of games because the first game starts and then like 15 or 20 minutes later another game starts, blah 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 blah, and it's based on who finishes. So you've got two teams starting at the same time. One finishes at, say, I don't know, 2 o'clock. One finishes at 2:10. The one finishes at 2 counts as the next victory in line. So you're not waiting for, say, the end of the second Tuesday to go about and count them up. No, that's not how they do that. Like I said, somewhere in this third round is usually where that's where the record is, official record is. So, and I understand if you do the odds of it, of picking a perfect bracket, in order to pick it would be more likely for, I think what I read is it's more likely for you to win the Powerball twice in the same year than it would be for you to pick a perfect bracket, just because of the there's all kinds of different possibilities where a team gets upset in the first round because they're not as good as you thought they were, or an unknown team from a college you probably never heard of or barely have heard of suddenly just makes a jump, and they jump up and they punch a number 7 seed in the face and they go on to the second round. And then obviously if you pick the wrong team, that makes your bracket not perfect anymore. Okay, fine. So, but I feel like even if you had the foresight, okay, and you could pick all the teams perfectly from the play-in rounds all the way down to the final, and you could pick the finalists. My theory is, this is maybe me being a little bit paranoid or a little bit on the conspiracy theory side. You could go into the future, we'll just say for 2026. We're not going to talk about this year because I don't know what's going to happen, but it'll be happening soon. We're going to go 2026. I go in the future, I find out the exact tournament bracket as it seeds from the first play-in games all the way down to the finals, and I fill out that bracket and I put it in a little envelope or whatever, and I send it back in time, or I travel back in time with that information, and I wait for tournament time to come around, and I put in the perfect bracket, because in this instance we're going to pretend that nothing can affect time. So me going forward and back in time does not affect any sort of parallel time union or time prison, whatever you want to call it, Time stays the same no matter if I go back in time or I stay where I'm at. I still think that that you would not be able, even with all that foreknowledge and actually going and seeing what the actual bracket broke down to, I feel like even at that point you still would not end up with a perfect bracket. Because at some point, and I don't know this for certain, I'm sure there's some insurance company out there or some nutty multi-millionaire who every year puts up some sort of stupid gimmick where if you can pick a perfect bracket, I'll give you $1 billion or $1 million or whatever, okay? And I figure that if you had the perfect bracket going into, say, even just the Final Four, we're not even talking the finals, we're talking the Final Four, money talks, and it just takes one or two players, you know, on one side of the ball to miss their free throws, miss their three-pointers, basically take a payout, a big payout, in their eyes, a big payout, maybe several thousand, $10,000, $100,000 to tank in a game, which I know is super unethical. So, you know, you don't have to hit me in the comments and say, oh, well, he would just be banned from, he or she would be banned from sports forever. It'd be a Pete Rose situation. Yeah, I get that. But that when you're a college player and everything's coming down the wire, you know, you get one guy who's the superstar and you offer him a big chunk of money to just kind of lame it out. Not throw the game, just lame it out. Miss a couple, you know, 2-pointers, you know, trip and fall whenever you're going in for a layup, you know, just a couple things, you know, commit too many fouls so you foul out of the game or too early, or you have too many fouls in the first half and they got to bench you for a long period of time. It just changes, you know, just have the game change in some way and your perfect bracket goes right down the commode. Why? Because I pay you $10,000 to lame it out instead of paying the million or $1 billion that is owed to whoever makes a perfect bracket. You know? Because again, the odds of it are so infinitesimal that it's impossible to do. To the point that I feel like even if you had say you had the perfect bracket, okay? Because, again, you cheated and you went into the past or into the future, and no one knows that, only you know that, because you're only the only person apparently. I know I'm creating a theoretical situation that's not possible because of all the different variables which eventually would get out. But somehow you end up like Biff in Back to the Future and you get the sports almanac from the future and you're able to bet on horses and tournament receivings and you make yourself millions upon billions of dollars from that because you know the result of every sports event that's going to come out, and then you open up your own casino and you set the odds based on the fact that you know who's going to win ahead of time, so you can't ever lose. And yes, the house doesn't normally lose in a casino, but I mean really turn it up so that, oh, this team that comes out of absolutely nowhere and wins the NFL championship or the MLB championship, you set the odds so ridiculously high that nobody bets on it. And the people that are guaranteed winners, you set the odds so low that it's not even worth their time. I know nothing about gambling, so just bear with me. But that's my thought. My thought is, either one of two things would happen. Either someone would rig the game so you would not end up with a perfect bracket. Particularly when you start getting into like the Elite Eight, Final Four level, not even the finals, one of those two levels. Because once you get to the finals, it's like, yeah, you gotta win. I mean, school pride, whatever you want to call it, I find much more difficult for you to be able to influence anybody and say, hey, I want you to throw the championship game. I want your team to lose. Very, very hard for a early 20-something to want to do, I presume. Unless you're truly motivated or you give them one hell of a deal that they're essentially set for life. But the other end of this is, now that I'm thinking about it, is you'd probably be investigated too and probably go to jail because they'd probably assume you cheated.